Hello friends, today we are going to see how to build a simple employee master using Visual Studio, and we would be using the database as SQL Server. So let us open Visual Studio. I'm creating a new project. Please select Windows Desktop, okay, Visual Basic, okay. So under this, use the Windows Forms app .NET framework, okay, Visual Basic Windows Desktop. So I'm just clicking next. So I'm just choosing the location where I can store it, okay. So I'm keeping it as simple employee master, okay. So I'm not changing the framework, I'm not changing the solution name and all, and I'm leaving as it is so that it can create a solution folder inside the evb.net. So you can choose your location as per your preference. So I'm just creating it. So it has loaded a simple form wherein it is blank. Okay, so I'm just dragging it so that I can have all the informations which I wanted, okay, for a simple employee master. So friends, this is a basic form. You can build your forms as per your needs based on this idea, okay. So you don't have to exactly replicate what I'm doing. You can build your own ideas. You may require some other form which may have different fields. So you just have a look at this video and you can understand and you can build your own application based on this. So let us begin. Let's get started. So first I need labels, okay. So to label what I'm getting as an input field, so I need some 6 labels, okay. The fields which I'm going to use are showcase that, okay. So if you can see this, so these are the fields which I will be using, okay. So there are 6 fields: employee ID, employee name, employee designation, employee salary, gender, employee email, okay. So these are the 6 fields which I will insert. So I'll just copy paste this in the description. You can use it for your trial purpose, okay. At the moment I've already created so that I don't waste time in this video, okay. So let's quickly get back to the work. So I'm placing 6 labels, okay. So I'm just adjusting based on the alignment so that it looks little bit neat and tidy. So for 6 fields we are using 6 labels, okay. So all the 6 fields we need to capture it here, right? So I will take text boxes, okay. So here I'm placing only 5 text boxes, okay. So one field is gender field, so for that I'll use a combo box. So I'm just copying this and I'm pasting it so that I get the same alignment. So once you create a text box and resize it, and if you copy it, it will automatically create with the same sizing or same fonts whatever you have applied on that particular text box. So there won't be any need to redo the works on your application. So this will reduce your workload. So I'm pasting it here. So I'm just pasting it in that same order, okay. So level 1 2 3 4. Similarly text 1, text 2, if you see here it will be changing. So text 3, text 4, okay. Similarly now I need one more text box which I'll use it for this particular level, okay. I'll tell you why I'm using this. So this I'll use as combo box, okay. So let me drag and drop one combo box. The use of combo box is you will not have the user to feed the input, okay. So the user will not be able to feed input. This is a combo box has the capability to have inputs fed by user, but we can modify the combo box to only select the values which are present, okay. So I'll just make it as a combo box first. So you need to go to drop down style here. So here in this you need to select drop down list. If you select drop down list, it will not be enabled. Instead it will only showcase the values which you populate here. So where do we populate the values? Populate the values in the items, okay. So here just click this tree then leave one space so that it will be empty in case if you have not selected anything, because if the user has not selected anything, there should be an empty field, right? So for that purpose, okay, starting with alphabetical order, female, male, then others. So these are the three values which we are going to populate inside the combo box. And then now let's label it. Okay, so each and every label, let's label it. So this is employee name, next is employee, the next field is this is employee ID, yeah? Okay, I'm not changing, okay. I if you for label you can drag and drop the names, okay. If you'll drag and drop the labels if you have wrongly written it, but for text boxes don't do that because it is in order. It's in a in an order 1 2 3 like that. So if you change the order in while doing an insert or something, you will get a confusion. That's why I'm not changing the orders, okay. So here, that's why I'm seeing this and I'm writing in the same order. So this, oh sorry, I double clicked it. Let's go to the form. So here employee name, okay, this will be, the next field is employee designation, this is employee salary, this is employee gender. Remember we have given a combo box, so we need a gender here, okay. So this is employee email, okay. So all the 6 fields we have taken it here, okay. So now we'll rename the form as well, simple employee master. So this is just an idea how you can build your application, okay. This is one part of a form of a full system, okay. So likewise we'll showcase in some other video with full-fledged employee master maintenance, something like that, employee master system or something we'll showcase in the future videos, okay. So now we have placed the text boxes for inputs, okay. So I need buttons now to add the records, right? So I'm placing one button here. I'm just writing, okay, first I'm copy pasting this as well. I'll put 4 buttons, okay. So one is for addition, one is for updation, one is for deletion, and another one for clearing the records. So I'm just adjusting it based on the, just press left arrow, okay, so you will automatically get adjust, means it will move inch by inch slowly so that you don't have much of changes, okay. So when you select and press the double, or if you select any button or anything and press left or right or up arrow or left or right arrow or something, it will automatically move right left to which direction you want, you can move it, okay. So now I'm changing the button name, add record, okay. This is for addition, this is for update record, and this is for delete record, this is for clear record. Clear record in the sense it will clear all the field values here, it will not clear the database values, it will only clear the field values here present, okay. So now I need a dialog box, sorry, not a dialog box, like data grid view, okay. So since this is a form, since you will be adding values and populating it here, you need to see that values in real time, right? So for that purpose we are adding a data grid view. So this data grid view is for live viewing of your records which you are adding, updating or deleting, whatever you're doing, okay. So we need to add a connection to the database, right? So in this video, we will use this data grid with a wizard connection, okay, not with the coding connection for this particular data grid alone. So what I will do, once you click this small arrow mark, just click this, just disable this, enable adding, enable editing, enable deleting. I'll put one more video on this data grid view, because there are many purposes of this data grid view. Why I'm telling is because you can do lot many operations inside this. So when you enable these, you can straight away add the values without having the text boxes being added. Okay, so you don't need these, and all. You can straight away add the values in the data grid itself, like a spreadsheet or a Excel. Okay, so for that purpose I'm not enabling those things. We'll show it in a separate video. So now click this choose data source. Now click add project data source. So for this project I have not added any data source yet, so we need a SQL database, right? I have already created the employees database, employees table there in the SQL server. I'll showcase that as well. I'll open SQL Server Management Studio. My PC is a little bit slow, so just bear with me. So I'm connecting with the Windows credentials. For those who don't understand this Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, please go back to my previous videos. I will showcase the link as well on how to install the SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio. You can find the link in my description, so you can watch those videos and then watch this video. Okay, so I'm just connecting with the Windows authentication. There are two methods which is predominantly used. One is Windows authentication and one is SQL Server authentication. So I'm using the Windows authentication. So for this I don't need a password. Okay, I'm just connecting it. So I already created a database as well. So for database creation also I have posted a video. Please check out that if you need some clarity on that, or to understand those concepts. Okay, so I'll just select the employees database. Okay, I'm not selecting any other database. Employees table I'm selecting. Select start from employees. So if you can see here, there are 4 records already. So I'll give some sample records. Okay, I'll give the table description, table creation statement and the insertion statement. With this you can uh, run this application in your PC with the help of these records, and you can add and modify with this program. Okay, so now I'll go back to the program. Okay, so since the data source is already available, we just need to attach it here. Okay, so data grid basically works on a principle like data adapter and data filling method. Okay, so it's a data set. Basically it's a copy of your database stored inside Visual Studio. So it will automatically fill the records from the data source and keep it here. So whenever you are adding or updating the records, you need to fill the records from the data actual data source and to the data set here. So this internally contains a data set, and that data set has to be refreshed then and there. Okay, this is the concept of data grid view. I'll go in detail on a different video, because data grid is a wide area where there are a lot many things to be explained. So at the moment you just keep it in mind as this as a small data source inside the Visual Studio. Okay, wherein this DB will be refreshed with the help of fill method, which will extract the data from the actual data source, that is SQL Server, and it will populate the data inside the data grid view. Okay, so at the moment we will keep in that way. So I'm selecting database, then see it's a dataset. Okay, so it's a dataset model which we will be using it. Now just ignore this because I already have made a connection. So just click on new connection. You will not have this in your system if you are doing it for the first time. Okay, so just click on new connection. So here there are various adapters which are there. Okay, so using this you can connect to various databases. Say for example Oracle, you can connect to ODBC data source, you can connect to MS Access database, you can access the SQL Server's database file also, but we are using a SQL Server here, so we will use a database directly. We will not use a database file instead. Okay, so there is a difference between database file and SQL Server database file and database Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, both are different. So here you have the database itself, here you don't have the database, instead you have database file. That's the difference. Okay, so I'll explain it in a different video, because the new database creation will have a lot of concepts inside that. If you have seen my database creation video, you would have understood this, what is a database file. So this we at the moment we'll connect with the SQL server. Okay, don't change anything else, just click OK. Now we have the server here. Okay, so in this application, for this application I have my DB installed in this local host itself. So I'll just type localhost. If you have installed the server somewhere else, just type the IP address. Okay, it will automatically take the connection. Okay, and if you have used the SQL Server authentication, just click that and give the ID passwords here. I'm using a Windows credential, so I'm not doing anything else. And just click the trust certificate on, otherwise it won't connect. Now select the database. It is loading the database names. Okay, so I'm connecting to Nivas DB. I'm not connecting to any other DB. Now test the connection. Test connection succeeded. This should come. Otherwise your connection is not successful. Now my connection is successful because it is able to fetch the DB and it has made a test connection check, and that is also succeeded. Okay, now click OK. Now next. And this, in this, if you want to see the connection string, this is the connection string. If you would have seen my earlier video how to install the database, there I would have showcased the same string, so which is useful here. See, so this is another step I'll showcase in this video also. It is required, I'll tell you why. So at the moment the connection string has been saved inside this data source. Okay, so it will save this connection string in the application configuration file as well. So if that is not present, this won't work. Okay, so now let's see. It is retrieving the database information. See, it has retrieved all the tables inside the Nivas DB. So now we are going to work with only employees table. Okay, data grid has a capacity of viewing multiple tables also. So for that purpose it is showing multiple tables here. Okay, so at the moment we will use only employees table. We are going to work with the employees table only. So next, finish. So I'm choosing that alone. Okay, now it has successfully added the employees database, employees table in the data grid view. Let's see how it functions. Okay, let's just run and see. We have not added any code, but still it will function some. Okay, see, it does run the query inside the database and it has pulled out all the records from the SQL server. See, all the records have been pulled out and it has been displayed in the data grid. Okay, now our half of the work is done. Okay, now the other half of the work is adding coding to these 4 buttons. Okay, let's see how to do that. Now you have a live view of the database. So whenever you whenever you run this, you will have the records pulled out and showcased in this place. Now I will just change few attributes of these. Okay, so that it is looking more nice and clean. So this is my purview. Just I change always the fonts and everything because I don't like the default font which is given. So I'll just increase the sizing as 10. Okay, so that it is little bit having good visibility. So once you do this, if you see the second line, which is the line which is shown in the horizontal way, is the alignment with respect to the characters uh, which are typed inside. Okay, so when you type, it will correctly sit on this particular line. That's why this alignment is given. Okay, this is a good alignment which is there in the recent Visual Studio versions. Okay, so you can you make use of this and you can place the forms or place the labels properly. Okay, so I'm increasing the font size of these 4 buttons as well. It is very small, right? Since you have increased it, but the uh, button also should be little bit bigger, so I've just dragged it. I'm changing the data grid view size as well. So for that you need to go inside columns headers default cell side. Okay, just click on this tree. So you'll get a box here. In this, just change the font to 10. I'm making an equal font so that it is equal across everything. Okay, so sorry, I'm just making this bigger. Now this is over. Okay, so I'm just moving this a little bit to the right. I'm pressing the right arrow. After selecting it, it will automatically move it. Similarly, I'm moving this as well. I'm changing this alone to little bit bigger text because it's an email. Okay, so you need a bigger column, bigger text. Now I'm changing the colors of these text so that it looks a little bit attractive. Okay, so I'm choosing yellow. You can choose as per your wish. This won't change because it's a disabled kind of field, but you can select the values inside this, so it will always remain in this color. Okay, similarly in the form, I'm changing it to gray. I'm changing the color of the button as well as white. Okay, now the basic things are done. One more thing which I wanted to tell is I'm changing the character casing. What does this do? This will automatically convert all your inputs to uppercase. If you want a lowercase, you can put lower. If it is normal, it will accept both. So even if you type in uppercase or lowercase, it will convert to uppercase before sending it to database or wherever you want. So this character casing is a good feature. You can make use of this. I'm leaving the email as it is because I need in small, or otherwise we can make it as lowercase. And this, it cannot accept any input values straight away by the from the keyboard, so it will have to be selected only from the drop down. So we are not changing the character casing for that. If you see, it will only allow you to select, you can't type anything. So this is good. Okay, now let's start the coding part. So now the first thing which we need to do is, let's see what is the default code. Okay, so when clicking the form, you have one single thing which is a code related to the data grid view. So wherein the data set is being pulled and filled into the database adapter, okay, of employees team. So this is a code written by the data grid view when we added it. Okay, so automatically this will pull and fill the data adapter which is there for the data grid view. That's how you are able to see the values in the data grid view. So now we need to declare few variables, okay, for the connection. First one is the connection string. Okay, so the connection string has to be dim mysql, so mycon, okay, as SQL connection. So once you add it, automatically the SQL data client will be imported. Okay, so this should happen, otherwise you need to add it manually. Now I will define cmd, my cmd. Okay, this will be a subset of object SQL command. So SQL connection and SQL command is a subset means an object defined inside the SQL client. Okay, so we are defining variables for that particular object. Now I need a string to store my SQL query, so I will define SQL underscore str as string. Also I need a result variable. Okay, so I'm not going to pull the results from the database as such. Okay, so I'm just going to store the number of rows updated. Okay, for that alone I will define one result variable. So it's an integer is fine, right, to store a number. Okay, now the next part is we will have to resize this data grid view. Okay, otherwise it looks a little bit clumsy, right, when I run it. If you see, it will not be that good looking because the employee ID is not properly visible, employee name is not properly visible. You can adjust this, but every time you cannot adjust this, right? It won't be looking nice when you give it to a client or when you present it in some presentation or something, right? So we need to adjust it automatically. So for that purpose, what we'll do, we will adjust the column size while loading itself. Okay, so for that we have a width property which is for data grid. Okay, so what we will do, data grid view. So this is the default name which was provided by the Visual Studio. So you can rename it. In fact, that's a good practice. Okay, if you rename that, it will be easier for you in a bigger application development. So this is a very small application, that's why I'm not developing anything. Means I'm not changing that value of the name. So what I'm doing is I'm defining the width of the column. So data grid dot column of 0, that means the first column. So it starts with 0 till what number of columns you have. Okay, so I'm just changing it to 100. Similarly we'll change for others. I'm just copying this. Next column is employee name, so I need little bit bigger, right? So I'll give 150. You can arrange it as per your wish. Okay, so it should not cross the size which is there in the uh, form. So just align it as per your convenience and your screen size, because this varies as per screen size as well. So you need to run and see each and everything. So here I'm pressing 150. Okay, next one. So this was for employee name, this was for employee designation. So employee designation also I'm providing 150. Let's stick to 150 for all the variables because 150 seems to be a good number for my system. So you can also check with your system as well because it differs for each and every system. Okay, so fourth column means it's a fifth column. Fifth column also I'm giving 150. That is nothing but the gender. Okay, last column is image, so I need a bigger size, right? So for this I'm providing 300. I'm not providing 150. I'm doubling the size, so it will now work. Okay, let's see this how it looks. See, so now it has categorized it. Still employee designation is to be given a bigger one. Okay, so I will change that. Employee ID also we can give it like 120. So these two fields we can give little bit bigger one. Okay, so this will be 120 and the third field will be 200, not 2200. So now it's proper. Okay, so now let's go for the coding of these buttons. Okay, so we are going to use the SQL Server Database, right? So we need a connection string, which means we need the connection to be defined first. So for that purpose, while loading the form itself, I'll load my connection. Okay, so my connection equals to new SQL connection. This is again the object of SQL client. So we need to define a new connection. So here initial catalog equals to numbers underscore db. The initial catalog is nothing but the database name. Okay. Next is data source equals to local host. This is the location of data, so database. Next is integrated security. So these are the three variables which you need for a connection. So since I'm using a Windows based authentication, I'm using integrated security. If you're using a SQL ID password, you need to provide the SQL ID and password here. So I have already explained this in my previous video of SQL Server install connecting to SQL Server. You can check out that. Okay. So now let's move on to the next part. The next part would be coding the add record button. Okay. So I'll just double click it so that we can write our code for the add button. Now first we'll build the SQL string. So already we have defined it, right? So I'll just define it as null before I use it. Now SQL str equals to, within double quotes, insert into employees values of, within single quote, trim of text box 1 dot text. I need to use a plus indicator so that it appends to the string. SQL str is a string variable, so to append your text you need to use the plus operator. Okay, otherwise it won't append, or you can use concatenate also, but that's a bigger process, so that's why I used plus. Okay, so why I'm using trim is so that you can remove the extra spaces on both the ends of the character, both the ends of the string. Okay, so that you get only the actual value which is provided by the user. Now again single quotes, because I have to place this inside the database, I need to, and it's a string variable, I need to put it in inside single quotes. Similarly for next variable, trim text box 2 dot text. Now I think you remember why I have given that text boxes in order. Okay, now the next variable is designation. We can write it in the next line. Okay, so how we can use SQL str equals to SQL str plus this variable. Why I'm using this again? Because I need this string, then appending to that I need to add the new text which I am writing now. Okay, so for that purpose I will use SQL str equals to SQL str plus the values newly added. Okay, otherwise it will remove the old writings. Okay, if you use straight away. So now we need to use the employee designation, right? Trim of text box 3 dot text, single quotes. Now the next is employee salary. This is a numeric field, so we don't need a single quote. So straight away we can write trim of text box 4 dot text. another single quote, no single quotes, only comma, then single quote, now plus combo box dot text plus, since this is a text, I am providing another text variable in single quote. So again we have one more field, so you can write it in a single line also, but it will be bigger statement. That's why I'm splitting like this. Okay. Otherwise, you can write it in a single statement. Now the last field is email. Okay. So we are writing email trim of text box 5 dot text. So we have written all the text boxes here. So now I think it's complete, so we can close it, right? So insert into employees values of this is employee ID, this is employee name, employee designation, this is the employee salary, this is the employee gender, and this is the employee email. So our SQL statement is complete. Now the next step is I need to open a connection to the database. Okay, we have defined the connection here, but we have not opened it yet for executing this. So first step would be I need to create a command for running the SQL. So create command is a subset of connection. Okay, so if there is a connection only you can create a command. So I'm just creating a command. Okay, so that I'm assigning again to the command variable. Now I'm assigning the command text. My command equals to my command dot command text equals to SQL str, which we have already built here. So this entire SQL string would have been appended. Okay, so whatever we have appended and stored inside this SQL string is now assigned to the command text. Now I will open my connection. Now I will put the result variable result equals to my command dot execute non-query. So there are three different types. Okay, four different types. Okay, this is execution on synchronous mode. This is asynchronous mode for non-query. These are for querying executions. Like this is for select. This is for select execution. These are for non-select executions. So I'm pressing the non-select execution. So any update, delete, insert statement have to go through this. Any DDL or anything apart from select has to come inside this. Okay, otherwise it will throw an error because it has split the execution in two different types like this. So now we have executed. Now I need to close my connection, right? So I need closing the connection. So never forget to close, otherwise your connections would be open in the database. So always remember to close the connections which you are opening, otherwise that will lead to database hanging or some other issues of database. Okay, now I'll just have to provide a input, right? I'll just have to give a message that my record has been updated or a record has been created. So for that purpose I've already stored the result, right? So result, if it is greater than 0, that means it has inserted. This result variable will return whatever, how many rows are affected will be returned as number to this result variable. So if it is executing and if it has inserted 2 rows, then it will return 2. If it has inserted 1 row, it will return as 1. So here we are inserting only one value, one record, so it will return as 1. So it should be greater than 0, obviously. If it doesn't have any value, means any rows updated, it will be 0. Okay, so this if statement should suffice that condition. So if it is done, then I'll put a message box here, record successfully created. Now an exclamation, comma, MSG, I'll put a style as well. So this is the information. So I'm putting an information style message box, and I'm giving a title as simple employee master. So this is the message which I'm giving. If it is not executed, then we need to say the user, right? So I'll just copy this, I'll paste it here. I'll say record not created. Okay, this should be the message. Or we can say simply like record could not be created. This says little bit of better information. So this will say exclamation because there is an error. So which the user has to see, or the database user or the database admin have to see what is the issue, because we have passed the string, and if the database is unable to accept the insert, then there is some issue with the database, right? So that thing has to be checked. Now what we'll do, we'll just copy this line. Okay, you have, means after executing this code it will insert into the database, no doubt about it, but it won't be visible in the data grid view since it's a offline database kind of thing. So we need to put a same fill in code which is used by the data grid. Okay, so this will again pull the records from employees and it will fill into the database employees adapter of the data grid view. So after executing this, it will automatically come inside this. With this help, it will showcase immediately. So now let's see whether it's running properly. Then we'll go with the update and delete code. There is an error. Let's see. What is the error? Initial catalog database source equals to. It's correct only. I missed a semicolon here. That's why you need to be careful while writing the SQL connection and all. Otherwise it will have, still there is an issue. It says keyword not supported initial catalog. Okay, there might be a spelling mistake. Correct, there is a spelling mistake. Okay, so I have a issue with my spellings, so be careful while you do this. Okay, so now it has run the code, so that means the connection string is okay and it is accepted. Okay, now let's add a record. So already we have 1007 and all. Okay, so 1008 I will put. Employee name will give it as, so see, I'm not putting the caps lock. Okay, but still whatever I type it will be a capital letter. So now what would be the name? Name would be Mike. Designation is clerk. Employee salary 15,784. He is a male and his employee ID will be Mike at abc.com. Okay, now let's add the record. See, record has been successfully added, but still it is not refreshed, right? So still, because still it has not gone to the code of filling. Okay, that fill method. Okay, now it should fill. See, it has come properly. Now you can view it live on live. Okay, so now we need to write the codes for update record and delete record and clear record. So let's write and then check this properly in a full-fledged way. Okay, so for the update, okay, so what we'll do, we'll double click this, we will copy paste the code which is written for the insert, because the statement alone is going to change, other things are remaining the same. Okay, so we always follow a little bit of indentation, so just follow the same ways because it will help you a lot while if you do the indentation, because while tracking the code it is very much useful. So now we need to change this into update statement. So update table name, set employee name equals to, I'll not update the employee ID. Okay, employee ID is a primary key. Once you have written it, it's done. If you want to change, you have to change it from the database layer only. Okay, I'll not change that because it's a sensitive information. Now I have set the employee name. Now employee designation equals to this value. Then SQL str equals to SQL str plus employee salary equals to this value. Now same SQL str equals to SQL str plus employee gender equals to, now the last one, employee email. These are the four fields which we need to update in an update statement. Okay, now we need to put a where condition, right? So that where condition will come here. So the update statement is complete now. Okay, now we'll put a condition here. Okay, if text box one dot text is not equals to this, then only this should execute. Okay, otherwise we need to throw an error. Since it's an update command, we need to be careful. Please provide the employee ID. So I'll use the message style as exclamation. It's an error kind of thing. Then I'll put the title for the employee, title of the message box. So this will not execute unless the text box is not empty. Okay, trim off this. So it has to update only if the value is present in the text box 1, that is nothing but employee ID, because we are using employee ID as the key value for updating. Okay guys, so now the update statement is ready. Now the delete statement, let's see. So just copy this. Again we need the same code for delete. I'm just pasting it. Okay, one thing we forgot. Okay, here the record was not successfully created, it was updated. So here also could not be updated. So don't change, means don't forget to change, otherwise it won't be nice. So this is a delete record. So this is the reason why I'm asking you to change the column means label or text box name and all. So it would be easy while seeing this. Okay. So here if it was not renamed, if it was renamed, here you can see it as button cancel or button delete like that. Okay. So it will be easy for you to do things. That's why. So here delete employees, we don't need all these things. Okay, we need only the insert statement. So we'll use the insert directive. Delete employees where employee ID equals to this. That's all. So this is the delete statement. So here record successfully deleted, record successful could not be deleted. Okay, so these two things are over now. So this much is complete. Now the next major step is we need to select the records from this data grid view. Why? Because when you update, we need to update the records after selecting from the data grid view, not from the uh, database directly, because this is a kind of database. So while updating or deleting, we need the values here to be present here, right, before we delete it. So for that purpose we will write a code on double clicking, means for double click means for double clicking this. So when I double click this, I need to load the data from data grid view to the text box so that it can be updated or deleted, whatever you the user wants. Okay, so it will be more user friendly when you do this kind of stuff. Otherwise we need to load it from the database directly. That would be a tedious process and more code would be required. What we will do is we'll define a row. We'll define, okay, one minute, we will do a private sub. Okay, private sub is nothing but like writing a function. Okay, so I'll define a function. This is a subroutine. It's basically sub, it's in short. So this subroutine we will call it in various places. Okay, so like this, if you define this code, piece of code, or this function can be called anywhere inside this program. That's the main. Within this class you can call n number of times, where with n number of places. Okay, you don't have to write the same set of code. So this is basically a function. In Visual Basic it is called a subroutine. Okay, so we'll define a variable inside this subroutine, v underscore row. I'll tell you why. Okay, now v underscore row equals to data grid view 1, sorry, data grid view 1 dot current cell dot row index. Why I'm referring this is when you what I wanted is exactly when I click this data grid on any of the row, I need to load that value in the text boxes, because I cannot fetch now from the database exactly, because this is not a full-fledged form wherein I have a search button or something to search the employee and fetch those values, right? So for that purpose we need to just add some piece of code to just load from this data grid view to the text box so that you can update or delete. Okay, so since we have the database in hand inside this, we in this project itself, we can load the data from here to there. Okay, that would be an easy method. Okay, so let's go back there. So now we have placed the row index. So what this code does is I have got the row index where I have currently selected in the data grid view. So with this I will get the row index. So row index is basically from 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So the first row will be 0, the second row will be 1, so on and so forth. Okay, so now I need to load that data. Text1 dot text equals to data grid view If you would have renamed this data grid view, it would have been easier, right? Say for example T grid or E grid, something like that. It will be much easy for understanding, right? That's the reason I'm asking you to rename the each and every item inside the form so that it is easy for you to use. So now rows of V row. So this row index is already stored in row, so I'm placing that row index here. Dot cells of 0, that is the first column. Dot value, so this will return the value of the first cell. So what this exactly does, data grid view for the nth row for the first column. So it basically identifies both the row and column exactly a cell from where I need to pick up the value into this text box. So this is what it does. So like this, let's do for the other part as well. So I'll just copy this because I don't have to change much. Now to this here, I will place it as 1, again paste, this will be 3, here it will be 2. See, I'm again following the same order. This is why I initially told to follow the order exactly in the same order how it is in the database. Otherwise you will have to rename it properly, because you will have this is very small application, so that's not an issue. It's not causing much of an issue. But if it is considered, if this was a bigger application, how many text boxes you will be able to remember? So that is the reason I'm asking you to rename things, rename the objects which we are using. Okay, so here we will use 5 because I have the combo box here. Dot text equals to data grid view 1 dot rows of v row dot cells of 4 dot value, because in that order only we are displaying, right? So that's the reason I'm straight away putting in the same order. Okay, I did not change the order except this text box because the email is a last field, so that is the order which is being fetched. So this part of code is done now. So this is a function. Okay, now this can be called on the double click. So when I click the data grid, it will automatically call this subroutine. Similarly, when I double click it, this is a single click. So if I single click or double click, I need to have this routine executed. So I will just copy this routine and paste the routine. So it will automatically call that routine here also. So this part is done. Now clear button. Okay, clear button will clear all the records. Text box 1 dot text equals to double text box 2 text equals to double quotes, text box 3 that text equals to double quotes. Here you can follow any order because you are just clearing it, so you don't need any order to be followed, and you'll not find the difference because it will be executed in one stretch. Okay, combo box dot text equals to this. This is the reason why I asked you to put a empty space in the combo box value list. Otherwise it will be by default selecting some or the other value which is there, which is wrong. When you clear all other values and only combo box is having a value, that was the reason. Okay, so this is over, but we need something in addition, right? Like this is very plain. Let's see. So now it has loaded. Okay, I need this form to be a little bit colorful. So for that purpose, we'll add some small bit of code. Okay, let's see. What we'll do is we'll load a subroutine. Okay, so first we'll put a small subroutine. Okay, just go to the last, within the class private sub data color. Okay, what this routine will do is it will color your data grid. Okay, so whenever you load the data grid, this will color it so that it looks nice and looks attractive. Okay, so for that, what I'll do, I'll use a counting integer. I'll define a count variable as integer. Next, I'll first define how many data is there, means how much rows are there. For that, I need to see how much is there in the data grid view. Dot rows dot count. Here -1. I'll tell you why I'm putting -1. Okay, first just see this. Now I'll use a for statement. R equals to 0 to I underscore count. So immediately when you give enter after the for statement, the next will come. It is like you don't have to code the entire for loop exactly. Okay, so this iteration will run from r equals to 0 to I count. So if the count of rows, say for example I have 5 records, this will return 5 exactly, but the loop will run from 0 to 5, which is wrong, right? So it should run 0 to 4. That means it will reach 5 records. So for that purpose, we are doing a -1 here itself, because the row indexes are calculated from 0 in all the means in the data grid, right? So for that purpose, we will use -1 here itself, so that we don't have to minus it here in every iteration. So now what we'll do, we'll put a if statement. If r plus 1 mod 2 equals to 0, then I'll tell you the logic what I've written. Rows are dot default cell style dot back color equals to colors, no, color dot we'll choose something, we'll choose powder blue, else data grid view 1 dot rows of r dot default cell style dot back color equals to color dot, we'll use something from blue itself, so that it gives 2 different shades of blue. You can choose your own colors, whatever you want, so you can run and see how it looks like. Okay, so I'll choose something in the blue. Okay, I'll choose this. I've seen this color, that's why I've So I'm straight away going for that. Okay, so you can choose any colors whatever you wish and which suits your form design. Okay, so I'm choosing this color because I like blue. That's the reason, only reason. You can choose orange, you can choose red, you can choose white, whatever you wish you can choose. Okay, now let's see how it looks. Okay, I did not explain the code, right? Wait, I need to call it. We have written the code but we did not call that data color. First we'll call it and then I'll explain. So here, whenever you are updating, after this you can call it. Once you fill the database, once you fill the data grid view, you can call this. So where and all we are filling the data grid, in insert, update and delete. So all the three places we can do this. So here also I can put this if else statement. Okay, because this is necessary. If remove, because without employee ID I cannot insert any record. That's a primary key, right? Textbooks1 dot text equals to this, not equals to this. Then I'll copy paste here. Writing is very difficult. So now here also it will not accept the values if the code is not, means if the employee ID is not provided. Okay, so insert, update, delete, all the three places. If the employee ID is not present, we will not do anything. That's the condition which we are placing here. I'm saving it. Okay, let me explain this logic what I've done here. Okay, the first thing is I'm defining an integer wherein I'm storing the count of rows in the data grid view, and I'm doing a -1 so that I can straight away use it in the data grid view rows variable, because it accepts 0 to 4. For example, if there are 5 records, I can only use 0 to 4. That means 5 records. So if I straight away use it here, then I will have to minus it here, right? So instead of using a minus here, I'm minusing it here itself. Okay, and in this what I'm doing is I'm changing the color alternatively. So first time it will be powder blue, next time it will be candle blue, next time it will be powder blue, it will be candle blue in the next time. So how do I do this? I'm just putting the row count +1 and I'm doing a modulus operation against 2. Okay, so if that result is 0, it will have this powder blue color. It will assign this powder blue color for that particular row. If it is not 0, then it will assign a candid blue color. So this is how I get a data grid view in a complete shape. Let's see how it looks like, then you will feel it. It's not called. Okay, on load we have not called this. I missed that part of code. Okay, so it has not called it. So here also we need to call the data color. So guys, you would have now seen how it looks. This is how it looks. Okay, now let's add and see whether it's adding. We have done it right already. We will see adding. See, now if I click, it will load automatically. Now I will change the George as I'll suggest a name called King. Okay, let's update it. It is updated. So now the record has been updated. So 1004 has been updated. Now if we go and see in the database also, it is King only. So now I'll delete this King record. Okay, if you double click, it will load. If you single click also, it will load. So I'm loading the King record and I'm deleting it. Now the record is deleted successfully. So now automatically it has been sorted out and that has been cleared off. Now the king record is gone. So let's see in the database also the king record is gone. So now guys, it's a simple employee master. Now let's see clear. See, it has cleared it. Now it's good. Now let's do one small thing before I close this. I need to add a one thing. I need to put this in a default location into the center screen so that it is opening in the center part of the your window. Okay, this one I'll use tab index. What is tab index? It is the position. Okay, so first when you load the form, I want this to be pointed for entering the ID. So for that purpose I'm doing like this. So you can give in a order, in what order you want the tab to be propagated. Okay, so the first tab will be here, means by default the mouse will point here. Then when you press tab, I want this, so I will put this as 1. So after 0, the next tab I will put this as 2, this as 3, this as 4, this as 5, and this as 6, this as 7, this as 8, this as 9. So my tab index is done. Now let's see once. So my tab index is by default going there. So if I press tab, automatically it will go to the second one, then this, then this, then this, then this, then add, update, delete, record. So the form is completely over now. Let's one more thing I need to do is I need to close these to this maximize and make it as a strict form so that it is not causing the window to expand. Okay, so I'll disable the maximize button. So it is one thing, and I need to change the appearance, means I need to change the font capability. It should not be scalable, means it should not be sizable, right? So for that I will change one property which is called standard. Once again I'll change that, not grow only, it will be form border style. So this, if you change it as fixed single, it will not grow. You can't expand this. Let's see that as well. So if you see, you can't expand. There won't be any expanding mouse cursor. You can only have this window with this particular format only. It won't expand. It won't do anything. Only you can close. You can minimize. That's all. Okay. So the application is complete, guys. So guys, if you like the video, just subscribe and like this video, and I'll continue posting some other application. So I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching.